Chapter 81. Enoch is given a year to teach what he has learned. Uriel said to me, Enoch, look to these heavenly tablets and read what is written on them, and mark every individual fact. I observed the heavenly tablets and read everything that was written on it, and I read the book of all the deeds of mankind and of all the children of flesh that will be on earth to the remotest generations. I bless the great Lord, the King of glory, forever, and that he made all the works of the world. I extolled the Lord because of his patience, and blessed him because of the children of men. After that I said, Blessed is the man who dies in righteousness and goodness, and concerning whom there is no book of unrighteousness written, and against whom no day of judgment will be found. Then those 7 archangels brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and said to me, Declare everything to your son Methuselah, and show to all your children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of the Lord, for he is their creator. For 1 year we will leave you with your son, until you give your last commands, that you may teach your children and record it for them, and testify to all of your children. And in the 2nd year they will take you from their midst. Let your heart be strong, for the good will announce righteousness to the good. The righteous will rejoice with the righteous, and will wish well one another, and will wish each other well. But the sinners will die with the sinners, and the apostate go down with the apostate. Those who practice righteousness will still die on account of the deeds of other men, and be taken away on account of the wrongdoing of the godless. So in those days these archangels ceased speaking to me, and so I came to my people, blessing the Lord of the world. Chapter 82. The names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year. And now, my son Methuselah, all these things I am recounting to you and writing down for you. I have revealed everything to you, and given you books concerning all these. So, my son Methuselah, preserve the books from your father's hand, and see that you deliver them to the generations of the world. I have given wisdom to you and your children and their children, that they should give it to their children for generations. This is a wisdom that passes their understanding. Those who understand it will not slumber, but will listen with their ear, that they may learn this wisdom, which will be more pleasing than good food. Blessed are the righteous, blessed are all who behave in a righteous manner, and sin not as the sinners, in the numbering of all their days, in which the sun traverses heaven. It goes in and out of each portal for 30 days, with the leaders of the thousands of the order of the stars, together with the 4 which are within the calendar, which divide the 4 portions of the year, which lead them, and enter with them for 4 days. Owing to them, men get this very much wrong, because they do not count them in the whole number of days in the year. Men will be at fault and not recognize them accurately, for they belong to the calculations of the year, and are truly recorded there forever, 1 in the 1st portal, and 1 in the 3rd, and 1 in the 4th, and 1 in the 6th, and the year is completed in 364 days. It has been accurately accounted and recorded. Uriel has explained to me and communicated to me about the luminaries, the months, the fixed times, the years, and the days. He has power over night and day in heaven, to cause the light to give light to humanity, sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of heaven which revolve in their circular chariots. These are the order of the stars, which set in their places, and in their seasons fixed times and months. These are the names of those who lead them, who watch that they enter at their times, in their orders, in their seasons, in their months, in their periods of dominion, and in their positions. Their 4 leaders, who divide the 4 parts of the year, enter first, and after them the 12 leaders of the orders, who divide the months, and for 360 days there are heads over thousands who divide the day, and for the 4 intercalary days there are leaders which sunder the 4 parts of the year. These heads over thousands are intercalated between leader and leader, each behind a station, but their leaders make the division. These are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year, which are ordained: Milkael, Amimelech, Melagel, and Narel. The names of those who lead them are Adnarel, Ijusel, and Elomiel. These 3 follow the leaders of the orders, and there is one that follows the 3 leaders of the orders, which follow those leaders of stations that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the first part of the year, Melchijel rises and rules. This is named the southern sun. All the days of his influence, during which he rules, are 91 days. These are the signs of the days which are to be seen on the earth in the days of his dominion: sweat, heat, and calms, and all the trees bear fruit, and leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the rose flowers, and all the flowers which came forth in the field. But the trees of the winter season become withered. These are the names of the leaders which are under them: Berkael, Zelabsel, and another who is added, ahead of 1,000, called Hilu-Jeseph, the days of whose influence have come to an end. The next leader after him is Helamelech, whose name they call the Splendid Sun. All the days of his light are 91 days. These are the signs of his days on the earth: glowing heat and dryness. And the trees ripen their fruits, and produce all their fruits ripe and ready. And the sheep pair and become pregnant. And all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and everything that is in the fields and the winepress. These things take place in the days of his dominion. These are the names and the orders and the leaders of the heads of thousands: Geded, Ejiel, Keel, and Heel. And the name of the additional leader of 1,000 is Asphael. The days of his influence are at an end. The Book of Enoch, Part 4, chapters 83 through 90. The visions of the history of the world. Chapter 83. Enoch wrote a prayer for the generations of the world. Now, my son Methuselah, I will show you all my visions which I have seen, recounting them before you. I saw 2 visions before I took a wife, and the one was quite unlike the other. The first was when I was learning to write, and the second before I married your mother was when I saw a terrible vision. I sought the Lord regarding them. I had laid down in the house of my grandfather Mahalalel, when I saw in a vision how heaven collapsed and was removed and fell to the earth. When it fell to the earth, I saw how the earth was swallowed up in a great abyss, and mountains were suspended over mountains. Hills sank down on hills, and high trees were ripped from their stems and hurled down and sunk into the abyss. Then a word fell into my mouth, and I lifted up my voice to cry aloud and said, "The earth is destroyed." And my grandfather Mahalalel woke me as I lay near him and said to me, "Why do you cry so, my son? And why do you make such lamentation?" Then I recounted to him the whole vision I had seen. He said to me, "You have seen a terrible thing, my son. Your dream vision is of a grave time, and concerns the secrets of all the sin of the earth. This sin must sink into the abyss and be totally destroyed. Now, my son, arise and pray to the Lord of glory, since you are a believer, that a remnant may remain on the earth, and that he may not destroy the whole earth. My son, from heaven will come all this on earth, and on earth there will be a great destruction." After that I rose and prayed and implored and besought God, and wrote down my prayer for the generations of the world. And I will show everything to you, my son Methuselah. When I had gone out below and seen heaven, and the sun rising in the east, and the moon setting in the west, and a few stars, and the whole earth as everything as he had known it in the beginning, then I blessed the Lord of judgment and exalted him, because he had made the sun go out from the windows of the east, and the sun ascended and rose on the face of heaven, and set out and kept traversing the path shown it. Chapter 84. Enoch implores the Lord. I lifted up my hands in righteousness, and blessed the Holy and Great One, and I spoke with the breath of my mouth and with the tongue of flesh, that God has made for the children of the flesh of men, that they should speak with. He gave them breath, a tongue, and a mouth, that they should speak therewith. Blessed be, O Lord, King, great and mighty in your greatness, Lord of the whole creation of heaven, King of kings and God of the whole earth. Your power, kingship, and greatness abide forever and ever, and your dominion throughout all generations. All the heavens are your throne forever, and the whole earth your footstool forever and ever. For you have made, and you rule over all things, and nothing is too hard for you. Wisdom does not depart from the place of your throne, nor turn away from your presence. You know and see everything, and there is nothing hidden from you, for you see everything. Now the angels of your heavens are guilty of trespass, and on the flesh of men abides your wrath until the great day of judgment. Now, O God and Lord and great King, I implore and beseech you to fulfill my prayer, to leave me a posterity on earth, and to not destroy all the flesh of man, and make the earth without inhabitants, and an eternal destruction. Now, my Lord, destroy from the earth the flesh that has aroused your wrath, but the flesh of righteousness and uprightness establish as a plant of the eternal seed. Do not hide your face from the prayer of your servant, O Lord. Chapter 85. A heifer and two bulls. After this I saw another dream, and I will show you the whole dream to you, my son. Enoch lifted up his voice, spoke to his son Methuselah. To you, my son, will I speak. Hear my word, incline your ear to the dream vision of your father. Before I took your mother Edna, I saw in a vision on my bed, and behold, a bull, Adam, came forth from the earth, and that bull was white. After it came a heifer, Eve, and after her came two bulls, one of them black, Cain, one of them red, Abel. That black bull, Cain, gored the red bull, Abel, and pursued him all over the earth. And then I could no longer see that red bull. But that black bull, Cain, and a heifer, his wife, went with him, and I saw that many oxen, their offspring, proceeded from him, and they resembled and followed him. That cow, Eve, went from the presence of that first bull, Adam, in order to seek that red one, Abel, but did not find him, and lamented with a great lamentation over him, and sought him. I looked until that first bull, Adam, came to her, Eve, and quieted her, and from that time forward she cried no more. After that she bore another white bull, Seth, and after him she bore many bulls and black cows, more children. I saw in my sleep that white bull, Seth, likewise grow and become a great white bull. From him proceeded many white bulls, his offspring, and they resembled him. They began to beget many white bulls, which resembled them, and there were many of them, one after the other. Chapter 86. Enoch's vision of the star that fell from heaven. Again I saw with my eyes as I slept, and I saw heaven above. Behold, a star fell from heaven, Satan, and it arose and ate and pastured among those oxen. After that I saw the large and black oxen, and behold, they all changed their stalls, pastures, and their cattle, and began to live with each other. Again I saw in the vision, and looked towards heaven, and behold, I saw many stars, the fallen watchers, descend and cast themselves down from heaven to the first star, Satan. They became bulls among those cattle, humanity, and pastured with them. I looked at them and saw, and behold, they let out their privy members like horses, and began to cover the cows, women of the oxen. They all became pregnant, and gave birth to elephants, camels, and donkeys, Nephilim. All the oxen feared them and were terrified by them, and began to bite with their teeth, and to devour and to gore with their horns. And they began to devour those oxen. Behold, all the children of the earth began to tremble and quake before them, and to flee from them. Chapter 87, 7 Archangels. Again, I saw how they began to gore and to devour each other, and the earth began to cry aloud. I raised my eyes again to heaven, and I saw in the vision, and behold, there came forth from heaven beings who were like white men. 4 archangels went forth from that place, and 3 with them. Those 3 that last came forth grasped me by the hand, and took me up away from the generations of earth, and raised me up to a lofty place, and showed me a tower raised high above the earth, and all the hills were lower. One said to me, Remain here until you see everything that befalls those elephants, camels, and donkeys, Nephilim, to the stars, the watchers, and to all the oxen, humanity. Chapter 88, Satan and the watchers punished by archangels. I saw one of those 4, Michael, who had come forth first, and he seized the first star, Satan, which had fallen from heaven, and bound it hand and foot, and cast it into an abyss. Now that abyss was narrow, deep, horrible, and dark. One of them drew a sword and gave it to those elephants, donkeys, and camels, Nephilim. Then they began to smite each other, and the whole earth quaked because of them. As I was beholding the vision, one of those 4 archangels who had come forth stoned them from heaven, and gathered and took all the great stars, watchers, whose privy members were like those of horses, and bound them all hand and foot, and cast them into an abyss of the earth. Chapter 89, the flood. But one of those 4 archangels went to that white bull, Noah, and instructed him in secret, without his being terrified. He was born a bull, and became a man, and built for himself a great vessel, and dwelt thereon. 3 bulls, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, lived with them in that vessel which covered them. Again I raised my eyes towards heaven, and saw a lofty roof, with 7 water torrents above it, and those torrents flowed with much water into an enclosure. I saw again, and behold, fountains were opened on the surface of the great enclosure, and that water began to swell and rise upon the surface. I saw that enclosure till all its surface was covered with water. The water, the darkness, and mist increased upon it. As I looked at the height of that water had risen above the height of that enclosure, and was streaming over that enclosure, and it stood upon the earth. All the cattle of that enclosure were gathered together, until I saw how they sank, and were swallowed up and perished in that water. But that vessel floated on the water, while all the oxen, humans, and elephants, and camels, and donkeys, Nephilim, sank to the bottom, with all the animals, so that I could no longer see them. They were not able to escape, but perished, and sank into the depths. Again, I saw in the vision, until those 7 water torrents were removed from that high roof, and the chasms of the earth were leveled up, and other abysses were opened. Then the water began to run down into these, till the earth became visible. But that vessel settled on the earth, and the darkness retired, and light appeared. But that white bull, Noah, which had become a man, came out of that vessel, and the 3 bulls, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, with him. One of these 3 was white like that bull, Shem. One of them was red as bull, Japheth, and one black, Ham, and that white bull departed from them. Chapter 89, Abraham, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, and the Israelites' exodus from Egypt. They began to bring forth beasts of the field and birds, so that there arose different species, lions, tigers, wolves, dogs, hyenas, wild boars, foxes, squirrels, swine, falcons, vultures, kites, eagles, and ravens. Among them was born a white bull, Abraham. They began to bite one another, but that white bull, Abraham, which was born among them, fathered a wild donkey, Ishmael, and a white bull, Isaac, with it. And the white donkeys, Ishmaelites, multiplied. But that bull, Isaac, which was born from him, fathered a black wild boar, Esau, and a white sheep, Jacob. The former fathered many boars, but that sheep gave birth to 12 sheep, Jacob's 12 sons. When those 12 sheep had grown, they gave up one, Joseph, of them to the donkeys, Ishmaelites. Those donkeys, Ishmaelites, again gave up that sheep, Joseph, to the wolves, Egyptians. And that sheep, Joseph, grew up among the wolves, Egyptians. The Lord brought the 11 sheep, Jacob's sons, to live with it, Joseph, and pasture with it among the wolves, Egyptians. They multiplied and became many flocks of sheep. The wolves, Egyptians, began to fear them, Israelites, and they oppressed them until they destroyed their little ones, and they cast their young into a river of much water. Now the sheep, Ishmaelites, began to cry aloud on account of their little ones, and to complain unto their Lord. A sheep, Moses, which had been saved from the wolves, Egyptians, fled and escaped to the wild donkeys, Ishmaelites. I saw the sheep, Israelites, lamenting and crying and petitioning their Lord with all their might, till the Lord of the sheep descended at the voice of the sheep, Israelites, from his high dwelling. He came to them and pastured them. He called that sheep Moses, which had escaped the wolves, Egyptians, and told him to make the wolves, Egyptians, understand that they were not to touch the sheep, Israelites. And the sheep, Moses, went to the wolves, Egyptians, according to the word of the Lord. And another sheep, Aaron, met him and went with him. And those two went and entered together into the assembly of those wolves, Egyptians. They, Moses and Aaron, spoke with them, Egyptians, and admonished them not to touch the sheep, Israelites, from then on. Afterwards, I saw the wolves, Egyptians, and how they oppressed the sheep, Israelites, exceedingly with all their power. The sheep, Israelites, cried aloud, and the Lord came to the sheep, Israelites, and they began to smite those wolves, Egyptians. And the wolves, Egyptians, began to make lamentation. But the sheep, Israelites, became quiet from then on and did not cry out. I saw the sheep, Israelites, till they departed from among the wolves, Egyptians. But the eyes of the wolves, Egyptians, were blinded, and those wolves, Egyptians, departed in pursuit of the sheep, Israelites, with all their power. The Lord of the sheep went with them as their leader, and all his sheep, Israelites, followed him. And his face was dazzling and glorious and terrible to behold. But the wolves, Egyptians, began to pursue those sheep Israelites, till they reached a sea of water, the Red Sea. That sea was divided, and the water stood on this side and on that before the face. And their Lord led them and placed himself between them and the wolves, Egyptians. As those wolves, Egyptians, did not yet see the sheep, Israelites, they proceeded into the midst of the sea, the Red Sea. And those wolves, Egyptians, followed the sheep, Israelites, and those wolves, Egyptians, ran after them into that sea, the Red Sea. When they, the Egyptians, saw the Lord of the sheep, they turned to flee before his face. But that sea, the Red Sea, gathered itself together and became as it had been created. The water swelled and rose till it covered those wolves, Egyptians. I saw till all the wolves, Egyptians, who pursued those sheep, Israelites, perished and were drowned. Chapter 89. Enoch's vision of Moses and the Ten Commandments, the golden calf, and Joshua, and Caleb leading the Israelites into the promised land. But the sheep, Israel, escaped from that water and went into a wilderness where there was no water and no grass, and they, Israelites, began to open their eyes and to see. I saw the Lord of the sheep pasturing them, Israelites, and giving them water and grass. But that sheep, Moses, going and leading them. And when he, Moses, ascended to the summit of a tall rock, the Lord sent him to them. After that I saw the Lord of the sheep who stood before them, Israelites, and his appearance was great and terrible and majestic. And all those sheep, Israelites, saw him and were afraid before his face. And they, Israelites, all feared and trembled because of him. And they cried to that sheep, Moses, which was among them, We are not able to stand before our Lord or behold him. That sheep, Moses, who led them again, ascended to the summit of that rock, Mount Sinai. But the sheep, Israelites, began to be blinded and to wander from the way which he had showed them. But that sheep, Moses, did not know it. The Lord of the sheep was wrathful exceedingly against them Israelites, and that sheep, Moses, discovered it and went down from the summit of the rock. And coming to the sheep, Israelites found that there were many of them blinded and fallen away. As soon as they saw him, Moses, they feared and trembled at his presence and desired to return to their folds. That sheep, Moses, took other sheep, Israelites, with it, and came to those sheep, Israelites, that had fallen away, and began to slay them. And the sheep, Israelites, feared his presence. And thus that sheep, Moses, brought back those sheep, Israelites, that had fallen away, and they returned to their folds. I saw in this vision till that sheep, Moses, became a man, and built a house for the Lord of the sheep, and placed all the sheep, Israelites, in that house. And I saw till those sheep, Israelites, which had met that sheep, Moses, which led them, fell asleep, died. And I saw till all the great sheep perished, and little ones arose in their place. And they came to a pasture, and approached a stream of water, the Jordan River. Then that sheep, Moses, their leader, which had become a man, withdrew from them, and fell asleep, died. And all the sheep, Israelites, sought it, and cried over it with great crying. I saw they left off crying for that sheep, Moses, and crossed that stream of water, the Jordan River, and there arose the two sheep, Joshua and Caleb, as leaders in the place of those who had led them but had fallen asleep, died. I saw till the sheep, Israelites, came to a good place, and a pleasant and glorious land, the promised land. And I saw till those sheep, Israelites, were satisfied. That house stood among them in the pleasant land. Chapter 89, the time of judges, Samuel, Saul, David, and Solomon. Sometimes their, Israelites' eyes were opened, and sometimes blinded, till another sheep, Samuel, arose and led them, and brought them all back, and their eyes were opened. And the dogs, Philistines, and the foxes, and wild boars began to devour those sheep, Israelites, till the Lord of the sheep raised up another sheep, King Saul, a ram from their midst, which led them. That ram, King Saul, began to butt on either side those dogs, foxes, and wild boars till he had destroyed them. That sheep, Samuel, whose eyes were open, saw that ram, King Saul, which was among the sheep, Israelites, till it forsook its glory, and began to butt those sheep, Hebrews, and trampled among them, and behaved itself unseemly. The Lord of the sheep sent the lamb, Samuel, to another lamb, David, and raised it to being a ram and leader of the sheep, Israelites, instead of that ram, Saul, which had forsaken its glory. And he, Samuel, went to him, David, and spoke to it alone, and raised it to being a ram, and made it the prince and leader of the sheep, Israelites. And during all those things, those dogs, Philistines, oppressed the sheep, Israelites. And the first ram, Saul, pursued that second ram, David, and that second ram, David, arose and fled before it. And I saw till those dogs, Philistines, pulled down the first ram, Saul. That second ram, David, arose and led the little sheep, Israelites. Those sheep, Israelites, grew and multiplied, but all the dogs, Philistines, foxes, and wild boars feared and fled before him. And that ram, David, butted and killed the wild beasts. And those wild beasts had no longer any power among the sheep, Israelites, and robbed them no more. And that ram, David, fathered many sheep, his offspring, and fell asleep, died. And a little sheep, Solomon, became a ram in its stead, and became prince and leader of those sheep, Israelites. And that house became great and broad, and it was built for those sheep, Israelites, and a great lofty tower was built on that house for the Lord of the sheep. And that house was low, but the tower was elevated and lofty. The Lord of the sheep stood on that tower, and they, Israelites, offered a full table before him. Chapter 89. Israel and Judah turning from the Lord. Elijah, the 70 shepherds, and the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. Again I saw those sheep, Israelites, who went astray and went many ways, and forsook that house of theirs. The Lord of the sheep called some prophets from among the sheep, and sent them to the sheep, Israelites. But the sheep, Israelites, began to kill them. One of them was saved and not killed, Elijah, and it sped away and cried aloud over the sheep, Israelites, and they sought to kill it. But the Lord of the sheep saved it from the sheep, Israelites, and he called 70 shepherds. Let's see. And brought it up to me, Enoch, and caused it to dwell there. There were many other sheep, prophets, he sent to those sheep, Israelites, to testify unto them and lament over them. After that I saw that they abandoned the house of the Lord and his tower. They fell away entirely, and their eyes were blinded. And I saw the Lord of the sheep, how he wrought much slaughter among them in their herds, until those sheep, Israelites, invited that slaughter and betrayed his place. He gave them over to the hands of the lions and the tigers and wolves and hyenas, and into the hand of the foxes, and to all the wild beasts. Those wild beasts began to tear in pieces those sheep, Israelites. And I saw that he abandoned their house and their tower, and gave them all into the hands of the lions, to tear and devour them, and into the hand of all the wild beasts. I began to cry aloud with all my power, and to appeal to the Lord of the sheep, and to represent to him in regard to the sheep, Israelites, because they were devoured by all the wild beasts. But he remained unmoved, though he saw it, and rejoiced that they were devoured, and swallowed, and robbed, and left them to be devoured in the hand of the beasts. And he called 70 shepherds, and cast those sheep, Israelites, to them, that they might pasture them. He spoke to the shepherds and their companions, let each individual of you pasture the sheep, moving from now on, and you are to do everything that I command you to. And I will deliver them over to you properly numbered, and tell you which of them are to be destroyed, and you are to destroy these ones. And he gave over to them these sheep, Israelites. He called another, Michael, and spoke to him, observe and mark everything that these shepherds will do to these sheep, Israelites, for they will destroy more of them than I have commanded. Make an account of every excess of destruction which will be wrought through the shepherds. Record it, namely how many they destroy according to my command, and how many they destroy according to their own caprice. Record against every individual shepherd the destruction he effects. Read out before me by number how many they destroy, and how many they deliver over for destruction, that I may have this as testimony against them. And know every deed of my shepherds, that I may comprehend and see what they do, and whether or not they abide by my command which I commanded them. However, they will not know of it. You are not to give any explanation to them, and you are not to reprimand any of them, but only record against each individual all the destruction which the shepherds effect, each in his time, and lay it all before me. And I saw till those shepherds pastured in their season, they began to kill and destroy more than they were ordered. And they delivered those sheep, Israelites, into the hands of the lions, Babylonians. And the lions, Babylonians, and tigers, Assyrians, ate and devoured the greater part of their sheep, Israelites. And the wild boars, Edomites, ate along with them, and they burnt that tower, the temple, and demolished that house, Jerusalem. I became exceedingly sorrowful over that tower, because that house of the sheep, Israelites, was demolished, and afterwards I was unable to see if those sheep entered that house. Chapter 89. The shepherds and their associates delivered over to those sheep, Israelites, to all the wild beasts to devour them, and each one of them received in his time a definite number. It was written by the other in a book how many each one of them destroyed. Each one killed and destroyed more than was prescribed, and I began to weep and lament on account of those sheep, Israelites. Thus in the vision I saw that one who wrote, Michael, how he wrote down everyone that was destroyed by those shepherds day by day, and carried up and laid down and actually showed the whole book to the Lord of the sheep, even everything they had done, and all that each one of them had made away with, and all that they had given over to destruction. The book was read before the Lord of the sheep, and he took the book from his hand and read it, and sealed it, and laid it down. Chapter 89. Enoch's vision from Cyrus through Alexander the Great. After this I saw how the shepherds pastured for 12 hours, and behold, 3 of those sheep, Joshua the high priest, Nehemiah, and Zerubbabel, turned back and came and entered and began to build up all that had fallen down of that house. The wild boars tried to hinder them, but they were not able. They began again to build as before, and they reared up that tower, and it was named the High Tower. And they began again to place a table before the tower, but all the food on it was unclean and impure. Regarding all this, the eyes of those sheep, Israelites, were blinded, and they could not see, and the eyes of their shepherds likewise. Thus they delivered them in large numbers to their shepherds for destruction, and they trampled their sheep with their feet and devoured them. The Lord of the sheep remained unmoved till all the sheep were dispersed over the field, and mingled with them the beast, and they, the shepherds, did not save them out of the hand of the beast. Then the one who wrote the book, Michael, carried it up and showed it, and read it before the Lord of the sheep, and implored him on their account, and petitioned him on their account. And he showed him all the doings of the shepherds, and gave testimony before him against all the shepherds. And he took the actual book and laid it down beside him and departed. Chapter 90. Enoch's vision from Alexander the Great through Greco-Syrian domination. I saw until the time that 35 shepherds undertook the pasturing of the sheep, Israelites, and they each completed their periods after the first. Others received them into their hands to pasture them for their period, each shepherd in his own period. After I saw in my vision all the birds of heaven coming, the eagles, the vultures, the kites, the ravens. But the eagles led all the birds. They began to devour those sheep, and to pick out their eyes, and to devour their flesh. The sheep, Israelites, cried out because their flesh was being devoured by the birds. And as for me, I looked and lamented in my sleep over that shepherd who pastured the sheep. I saw until those sheep, Israelites, were devoured by the dogs, by the eagles, and by the kites. They did not leave them flesh or skin or any muscle remaining on them, until only their bones stood there, and their bones too fell to the earth, and the sheep became few. I saw that until that 23 had undertaken the pasturing and completed their allotted periods, and that they had violated terms of their authority 58 times. Chapter 90. Then small lambs were born by those white sheep, and they began to open their eyes and to see, and cried to the sheep. The sheep, however, did not cry out to them, nor did they hear them, but they were exceedingly deaf, and their eyes were very exceedingly blinded. I saw in the vision how the ravens flew upon those lambs, and took one of those lambs, Jesus, and dashed the sheep in pieces and devoured them. And I saw till horns grew upon those lambs, and the ravens cast down their horns. And I saw till there sprouted a great horn of one of those sheep, Jesus, and their eyes were open. And it looked at them, and their eyes were open. And it cried to the sheep, Israelites. And the rams saw it, and all ran to it. And besides this, all the eagles, the vultures, the ravens, and the kites still kept tearing the sheep, Israelites, and swooping down upon them and devouring them. Still the sheep remained silent, but the rams lamented and cried out. And those ravens fought and battled with it and sought to lay low its horn, but they had no power over it. Chapter 90, Enoch's vision of the last assault of the Gentiles on the Jews through present. And I saw until the shepherds, the eagles, the vultures, and the kites came, and they cried to the ravens that they should break the horn of that ram, Jesus. They battled and fought with it, and it battled with them, and cried that its help might come. And I saw until that man, Michael, who wrote down the names of the shepherds and carried them up into the presence of the Lord of sheep, came and helped it and showed it everything. He had come down for the help of that ram, Jesus. I saw till the Lord of the sheep came to them in wrath, and all who saw him fled. But they all I saw till the Lord of the sheep came to them in wrath, and all who saw him fled, and they all fell in his shadow from before his face. All the eagles, the vultures, the ravens, and the kites were gathered together, and there came with them all the sheep, Israelites of the field. They all came together to attempt to break that horn of the ram, Jesus. And I saw that man Michael, who wrote the book according to the command of the Lord, until he opened that book concerning the destructions which those last 12 shepherds had wrought, and showed that they had destroyed much more than their predecessors before the Lord of the sheep. And I saw until the Lord of the sheep came to them. And I saw until the Lord of the sheep came to them, and took in his hand the staff of his wrath, and struck the earth, and the earth split open, and all the beasts and all the birds of the heavens fell from among those sheep, believers, and were swallowed up in the earth, and it covered them. And I saw until a great sword was given the sheep, believers, and the sheep proceeded against all the beasts of the field to kill them, and all the beasts and the birds of heaven fled before their face. Chapter 90, Enoch's vision of the judgment of the fallen angels, the 70 shepherds, and the guilty. And I saw until a throne was erected in the pleasant land, and the Lord of the sheep sat on it, and the other took the sealed books and ordered those books before the Lord of the sheep. And the Lord called those men archangels, the 7 white ones, and commanded that they should bring before him, beginning with the first star, Satan, which led the way, and all the stars, watchers, whose privy members were like those of horses. And they brought them all before him. Enoch chapter 90. Enoch's vision of the judgment of the fallen angels, the 70 shepherds, and the guilty. And I saw until a throne was erected in the pleasant land, and the Lord of the sheep sat on it. And the other took the sealed books and opened those books before the Lord of the sheep. And the Lord called those men archangels, the 7 white ones, and commanded that they should bring before him, beginning with the first star, Satan, which led the way, all the stars, watchers, whose privy members were like those of horses, and they brought them all before him. He said to that man, Michael, who wrote before him, being one of those 7 white ones, archangels, and said to him, Take those 70 shepherds to whom I delivered the sheep, and who, taking them on their own authority, killed more than I commanded them. And I saw them all bound, and they all stood before him. And the judgment was held over the stars, watchers. And they were judged and found guilty, and went to the place of condemnation. And they were cast into an abyss full of fire, and flaming, and full of pillars of fire. Then those 70 shepherds were judged, and found guilty, and they were cast into that fiery abyss. At that time I also saw one abyss was open in the midst of the earth, full of fire, and they brought those blinded sheep, and they were all judged and found guilty and cast into this fiery abyss, and they burned. Now this abyss was to the right of that house. I saw those sheep burning and their bones burning. I stood up to chapter 90, Enoch's vision of the New Jerusalem, the great transformation, and the rejoicing of the Lord of the sheep. I stood up to see until they folded up that old house, and carried off all the pillars, and all the beams and ornaments of the house were at the same time folded up with it. They carried it off and laid it in a place in the south of the land. And I saw until the Lord of the sheep brought a new house greater and loftier than that first, and set it up in the place of the first, which had been folded up. All its pillars were new, and its ornaments were new and larger than those of the first. The old one which he had taken away, and all the sheep were within it. And I saw all the sheep which had been left, and all the beasts on the earth, and all the birds of heaven falling down, and doing homage to those sheep, and making petition to and obeying them in everything. Then those 3 archangels, who were clothed in white, and who had seized me by my hand, those who had taken me up before, and the hand of the Ram, the Lord, also seizing hold of me, they took me up and set me down in the midst of those sheep before the judgment took place. And those sheep were all white, and their wool was abundant and clean. And all that had been destroyed and dispersed, and all the beasts of the field, and all the birds of heaven assembled in that house. The Lord of the sheep rejoiced with great joy, because they were all good, and had returned to his house. I saw until they laid down that sword which had been given to the sheep, and they brought it back into the house. And I was sealed before the presence of the Lord. And all the sheep were enclosed in that house, but it was not capable of containing them. And the eyes of them were all open, and they saw the good. There was not one among them that did not see. And I saw that the house was large and broad and very full. And I saw that a white bull, Jesus, was born with large horns, and all the beasts of the field and all the birds of the air feared him and made petition to him all the time. And I saw until all their generations were transformed, and they all became white bulls. The first among them became a lamb, Jesus, and that lamb became a great animal, and had great black horns on its head. The Lord of the sheep rejoiced over it, and over all the oxen. I slept in their midst, and I awoke and saw everything. This is the vision which I saw when I slept, and I awoke and blessed the Lord of righteousness, and gave him glory. Then I wept with a great weeping, and my tears stayed until I could no longer endure it, when I saw they flowed on account of what I had seen. For everything will come and be fulfilled. and all the deeds of men in their order were shown to me. On that night I remembered the first dream, and because of it I wept and was troubled, because I had seen that vision. The Book of Enoch, Part 5, chapters 91 through 108. The blessings for the righteous and the curses for the sinners. Chapter 91, Enoch's warning to his family of the judgment that is coming soon. And now, my son Methuselah, call to me all your brothers, and gather to me all your sons of your mother, for the word calls me, and the Spirit is poured out on me, that I may show you everything that will befall you forever. So then Methuselah went and called all his brothers and assembled his relatives. He spoke to all the children of righteousness and said, Hear, you sons of Enoch, all the words of your father, and listen properly to the voice of my mouth. For I exhort you and say to you, beloved, love righteousness and walk in it, and draw near to righteousness without a double heart, and do not associate with those of a double heart, but walk in righteousness, my sons. It will guide you on good paths, and righteousness will be your companions. For I know that violence must increase on the earth, and a great punishment will be executed on the earth, and it will be cut off from its roots, and its whole construct will be destroyed. And unrighteousness will again be consummated on the earth, and all the deeds of unrighteousness and of violence and sin will prevail a second time. When sin, unrighteousness, blasphemy, and violence in all kinds of deeds increase, and apostasy, transgression, and uncleanness increase, a great chastisement will come from heaven upon all these. And the Holy Lord will come with wrath and chastisement to execute judgment on earth. In those days violence will be cut off from its roots, and the roots of unrighteousness together with deceit, and they will be destroyed from under heaven. All the idols of the heathen will be abandoned, and the temples burned with fire, and they will remove them from the whole earth, and the heathen will be cast into the judgment of fire, and they will perish in wrath and in grievous judgment forever. The righteous will arise from their sleep, and wisdom will arise and be given unto them. After that, the roots of unrighteousness, and those who plan violence, and those who commit blasphemy, will be cut off, and the sinners will be destroyed by the sword. Now I tell you, my sons, and show you the paths of righteousness and the paths of violence. Yes, I will show them to you again, that you may know what will come to pass. Listen to me, my sons, and walk in the paths of righteousness, and do not walk in the paths of violence. For all who walk in the paths of unrighteousness will perish forever. Chapter 92, Enoch foresees the righteous one. The book written by Enoch. Enoch indeed wrote this complete doctrine of wisdom, which is praised of all men, and a judge of all the earth. For all my children who will live on earth, and for the future generations who will observe uprightness and peace, do not let your spirit be troubled on account of the times, for the Holy and Great One has appointed days for all things. The righteous one shall arise from sleep, the dead, and walk in the paths of uprightness, and all his path shall be in eternal goodness and grace. He will be gracious to the righteous, and give them eternal righteousness, and he will give him power, so that he will be endowed with goodness and righteousness. He shall walk in eternal light. Sin will perish in darkness forever, and will be seen no more from that day forever. Chapter 93. Enoch sees a 10-week time leading to no more sin forever. After that, Enoch both gave and began to recount from the books. And Enoch said, concerning the children of righteousness, and concerning the elect of the world, and concerning the plant of righteousness, I will speak these things. I, Enoch, will declare them to you, my sons, according to that which appeared to me in heavenly vision, and which I have known through the word of the holy angels, and have learned from heavenly tablets. And Enoch began to recount from the books and said, I was born the 7th in the 1st week, while there was still judgment and righteousness. After me there will arise in the 2nd week great wickedness, and deceit will have sprung up, and because of it there will be the first end. And in it a man will be saved, and after it is ended, uprightness will grow up. A law will be made for the sinners. After that, in the 3rd week at its close, a man will be elected as the plant of righteous judgment, and his posterity will become the plant of righteousness forevermore. Jesus, the plant of righteousness. Hallelujah. After that, in the 4th week, at its close, visions of the holy and righteous will be seen, and a law for all generations, and an enclosure will be made for them. After that, in the 5th week, at its close, the house of glory and dominion shall be built forever. After that, in the 6th week, all who live in it will be blinded, and the hearts of all them will godlessly forsake wisdom. And in it a man will descend, and at its close the house of dominion will be burned with fire, and the whole race of the chosen root will be dispersed. After that, in the 7th week, an apostate generation will arise, and its deeds will be many, and all its deeds will be apostate. And at its end, the saints of the eternal plant will be chosen of righteousness, to receive 7-fold instruction concerning all his creation. Then after that there will be another week, the 8th of justice, and a sword will be given to execute righteous judgment on the oppressors. Wrongdoers will be delivered into the hands of saints. As the 8th week is closing, the saints will acquire houses through their righteousness, and a house will be built for the great King of glory that will be established forever. And all mankind will look to the path of uprightness. Then after that, in the 9th week, the righteous judgment will be revealed to the whole earth, and all the works of the godless will vanish from all the earth, and the world will have been deserving of judgment. Then after this, in the 10th week, and in its 7th part, there will be great eternal judgment, in which he will execute vengeance upon the angels. And the first heaven will depart and pass away, and a new heaven will appear, and all the powers of heaven will shine forever with 7 times the light. Afterwards there will be many weeks, which will exist forever with integrity and justice, and all will be goodness and righteousness, and sin will no more be mentioned forever. Now, chapter 94, Enoch's admonition to choose righteousness. Now I say to you, my children, love righteousness and walk in it, for the paths of righteousness are worthy to be accepted. But the paths of unrighteousness shall suddenly be destroyed and vanish. To certain people of a future generation, the paths of violence and death will be revealed, and they will keep themselves far from them and not follow them. Now I say to you, the righteous do not walk in the paths of wickedness, nor in the paths of death, nor draw near them, so that you will not be destroyed. Seek and choose for yourselves righteousness and an elect life, and walk in the paths of peace, and you will live and prosper. Hold fast my words in your thoughts of your heart, in your hearts, and do not allow them to leave your hearts. For I know that sinners cunningly advise people to commit crimes. No place may be found for wisdom, and temptation will increase. Woe to those who build unrighteousness and oppression, and lay deceit as a foundation, for they will be suddenly overthrown, and they shall have no peace. Woe to those who build their houses with sin, for from all their foundations will they be overthrown, and by the sword they will fall. Those who chase gold and silver will suddenly perish in the judgment. Woe to you, rich, for you have trusted in your riches and will be stripped of your riches, because you have not remembered the Most High in the days you had riches. You have committed blasphemy and unrighteousness, and have become ready for the day of slaughter, and the day of darkness, and the day of the great judgment. Thus I speak and tell you, he who has created you will overthrow you, and for your fall there will be no compassion, and your Creator will rejoice at your destruction. Your religious gods shall be a reproach to the sinners and the godless of those days. Chapter 95. Judgment will overtake sinners. Oh, that my eyes were rain clouds of water, that I might weep over you, and pour down my tears as a cloud of water, that I might rest of my trouble of heart. Who has permitted you to practice reproaches and wickedness? Even so judgment shall overtake you, sinners. The righteous will not fear the sinners, because the Lord will deliver them into your hands, that you may execute judgment upon them according to your desires. Woe to you who pronounce curses which cannot be reversed. Healing will therefore be far from you because of your sins. Woe to you who repay your neighbor with evil, for you will be repaid according to your works. Woe to you, lying witnesses, and those who weigh out injustice, for suddenly you will perish. Woe to you, sinners, for you persecute the righteous, for you will be delivered up and persecuted because of injustice, and its yoke will be heavy on you. Be hopeful, you righteous, for suddenly the sinners will perish before you, and you shall have lordship over them according to your desires. In the day, Chapter 96. Enoch's woes to the mighty who oppress the righteous. Be hopeful, you righteous, for suddenly the sinners will perish before you, and you shall have lordship over them according to your desires. In the day of the tribulation of the sinners, your children will mount and rise as eagles, and your nests will be higher than the vultures. You will ascend as badgers, and enter the crevices of the earth, and be on the clefts of the rocks forever over the unrighteous. The sinners will sigh and weep because of you. Do not fear, you that have suffered, for healing will be your portion, and a bright light will enlighten you, and you will hear the voice of rest from heaven. Woe to you, you sinners, for your riches make you appear like the righteous, but your hearts convict you of being sinners. This fact will be a testimony against you, for a memorial of your evil deeds. Woe to you who devour the finest of wheat and drink wine in large bowls, and trample down the lowly with your might. Woe to you who drink water from every fountain, for suddenly you shall be consumed and wither away, because you have forsaken the fountain of life. Woe to you who work unrighteousness and deceit and blasphemy. It will be a memorial against you for evil. Woe to you, you mighty, who with might oppress the righteous. For the day of your destruction is coming. Many and good days will come to the righteous in the day of your judgment. Chapter 97. The unrighteous will be given over to a great curse. Believe it, you righteous, that the sinners will become ashamed and perish in the day of unrighteousness. Be it known to you, you sinners, that the Most High is mindful of your destruction, and the angels of heaven rejoice over your destruction. What will you do, you sinners, and where will you flee on that day of judgment when you hear the voice of the prayer of the righteous? You are not like those against whom this word bears witness. You have been companions of sinners. In those days the prayer of the righteous will reach the Lord, and for you the days of your judgment will come. All the words of your unrighteousness will be read out before the great Holy One, and your faces will be covered with shame, and he will reject every work that is grounded in unrighteousness. Woe to you, sinners who live on the islands, whose remembrance is evil against you. Woe to you who acquire silver and gold unrighteously, and say, we have become rich with riches and have possessions, and have acquired everything that we have desired. And now let us do what we purpose, for we have gathered silver, and many are the servants in our houses, and our granaries are full to the brim as if with water. Like water your lies will flow away, and your riches will not abide, but quickly evaporate. For you have acquired it all in unrighteousness, and you will be given over to a great curse. Chapter 98. All the evil deeds are seen in the heavens. And now I swear to you, to the wise, and to the foolish, that you will see many things on the earth. You men will put on many more adornments than a woman, and more colored garments than a virgin, dressing yourself in royalty and grandeur, in power, in silver, but gold, purple, splendor, and wealth will be abundant as water. Therefore they will not have knowledge or wisdom, and because of this they will die together with their possessions, and with all their glory and splendor. And in shame, slaughter, and in great destruction, their spirits will be cast into the furnace of fire. I have sworn to you, you sinners, as a mountain or hill has not been a woman's maid. Sin has not been sent into the earth, but man of himself has created it, and under a great curse those who commit it will fall. Barrenness has not been given to the woman, but on account of the deeds of her own hands she dies without children. I have sworn to you, you sinners, by the Holy Great One, that all your evil deeds are revealed in the heavens, and that none of your deeds of oppression are covered and hidden. Do not think in your spirit, nor say in your heart that you do not know, and that you do not see that every sin is recorded every day in heaven in the presence of the Most High. From now on, you know that all your wrongdoing that you do will be written down every day, and until the day of your judgment. Woe to you, you fools, for through your foolishness you will perish, as you do not listen to the wise, but you transgress against the wise, and so nothing good will come to you. So now know that you are prepared for the day of destruction. Therefore do not hope to live, you sinners, but you will depart and die, for there will be no ransom for you are prepared for the day of the great judgment, and for the day of great tribulation and great shame for your spirits. Woe to you, you obstinate of heart, who work wickedness and eat blood. From where do you feed on good things to eat and drink and be satisfied? From all the good things which the Lord God Most High has placed in abundance of the earth. Therefore you will have no peace. Woe to you who love the deeds of unrighteousness. Where do you hope for good for yourselves? You know you will be delivered into the hands of the righteous, and they will cut off your necks and kill you and have no mercy on you. Woe to you who rejoice in the tribulation of the righteous, for no grave will be dug for you. Woe to you who say words to the wise are empty, for you will have no hope of life. Woe to you who write down lying and godless words, for they write down their lies, so that men may hear them, and act godlessly towards their neighbor. Therefore they will have no peace, but will die suddenly. Chapter 99. The day of destruction. Woe to you who do godless deeds, and praise and honor lies. You will perish, and no happy life will be yours. Woe to you who pervert the words of uprightness, and transgress the eternal law, and transform themselves into what they were not. They will be trampled underfoot upon the earth. In those days, you righteous, you will be considered worthy to raise your prayers of a memorial, and place them as a testimony before the angels, that they may place the sin of the sinners for a reminder before the Most High. In those days the nations will be stirred up, and the families of the nations will arise on the day of destruction. In those days the destitute will go forth and throw out their children, and they will abandon them, so that their children will perish because of them. They will abandon their children that are still babies, and not return to them, and will have no pity on their loved ones. Again I say to you, you sinners, that sin is prepared for a day of unceasing bloodshed. They who worship stones and carved images of gold, silver, wood, stone, and clay, and those who foolishly worship unclean spirits and demons, and all kinds of idols. They will get no manner of help from them. They will become godless by reason of the foolishness of their hearts, and their eyes will be blinded through the fear of their hearts and through the visions in their dreams. Through these they will become godless and fearful, for they will have wrought all their work in a lie, and they will have worshipped a stone. Therefore in an instant they will perish. In those days blessed are all those who accept the words of wisdom and understand them, and observe the paths of the Most High, and walk in the path of his righteousness, and become not godless with the godless, for they will be saved. Woe to you who spread evil to your neighbors, for you will be slain in hell. Woe to you who make deceitful and false measures, and to them who cause bitterness on the earth, for they will be utterly consumed. Woe to you who build your houses through the grievous labor of others, for all your building materials are bricks and stones of sin. I tell you, you will have no peace. Woe to them who reject the eternal heritage of their fathers, and whose souls follow after idols, for they will have no rest. Woe to them who work unrighteousness, and help oppression, and kill their neighbors until the day of great judgment comes. For he will cast down your glory, and bring affliction on your hearts, and will arouse his fierce indignation, and destroy you all with the sword. All the holy and righteous will remember your sins. Chapter 100, Great Judgment of Sinners. In those days, fathers together with their sons will be struck down, and siblings one with another will fall, dead together until the streams flow with their blood. For a man will not withhold his hand from slaying his sons and his sons' sons. The sinner will not withhold his hand from his honored brother. From dawn until sunset they will kill one another. The horse will be up to its breast in the blood of sinners, and the chariot will be submerged to its height. In those days the angels will descend into the secret places and gather together in one place all those who brought down sin. The Most High will arise in that day of judgment to execute great judgment on sinners. Over all the righteous and holy he will appoint guardians from among the holy angels to guard them as the apple of his eye, until he makes an end of all wickedness and all sin. And even if the righteous sleep a long sleep, they have nothing to fear. The wise will see the truth, and the children of earth will understand all the words of this book, knowing that their riches will not be able to save them, to overcome their sins. Woe to you, you sinners, on the day of strong anguish, you who afflict the righteous and burn them with fire. You will be requited according to your works. Woe to you, you obstinate of heart, who watch in order to devise wickedness. Therefore fear will come upon you, and there will be no one to help you. Woe to you, you sinners, on account of the words of your mouth, and on the account of the deeds of your hands, which your godlessness has wrought. In blazing flames, burning worse than fire, you will burn. And now know that the angels will ask him in heaven about your deeds, and from the sun, from the moon, and from the stars they will ask about your sins, because on the earth you execute judgment on the righteous. He will summon to testify against you every cloud, mist, dew, and rain, for they will all be withheld from falling on you, and they will be mindful of your sins. Now give gifts to the rain, that it cease not from falling on you, nor the dew, when it has received gold and silver from you, that it may descend. When the frost and snow with their chilliness, and all the snowstorms with all their plagues fall upon you, in those days you will not be able to stand before them. Chapter 101. The sinners won't be able to petition God. Consider heaven, all you progeny of heaven, and every work of the Most High, and fear him, and work not criminally in his presence. If he closes the windows of heaven and withholds the rain and the dew from falling on the earth on your account, what will you do then? If he sends his anger on you because of your deeds, you cannot petition him, for you spoke proud and arrogant words against his righteousness. Therefore you will have no peace. Don't you see the ship's captains? How their ships are tossed back and forth by the waves, shaken by the winds, and exposed to the greatest danger. Therefore they are afraid, because all their nice possessions go on the sea with them, and they only anticipate evil, because the sea may swallow them, and they may perish in it. Is not the whole sea and all its waters and all its movements the work of the Most High? And has he not set limits to its actions, and confined it on every side by the sand? At his reproof it fears and dries up, and all its fish die, and all that is in it. But you sinners that are on the earth are not afraid of him. Has he not made heaven and earth, and all that is in it? Who has given understanding and wisdom to everything that moves on the earth and in the sea? Don't the ship's captains fear the oceans, yet you sinners are not afraid of the Most High? Chapter 102. The sinners will be cursed forever. In those days when he casts the calamity of fire at you, where will you flee, and where will you find deliverance? When he launches out his word against you, will you not be shaken and afraid? All the luminaries will be shaken with great fear. All the luminaries will be shaken with great fear, and all the earth will be spared, but tremble and be alarmed. All the angels will execute their commands, and will seek to hide themselves from the presence of he who is great in glory. And all the children of the earth will tremble and shake. You sinners will be cursed forever, and you will have no peace. But do not be afraid, you souls of the righteous, and do not be afraid, you who have died in righteousness. Do not grieve because your souls descended to Sheol with sadness, and because in your life you were not rewarded according to your goodness. But wait for the day of judgment of sinners, and for the day of cursing and chastisement. When you die, the sinners will say about you, as we die, so die the righteous. And what benefit do they reap for their deeds? See, even as we, so do they die in grief and darkness. And what have they more than we? From now on we are equal. And what will they receive? And what will they see forever? Look, they too have died, and from now on forever they will see no light. I tell you, you sinners, you were content to eat and drink and rob and sin and strip people naked, commit crimes, acquire wealth, and see good days. Have you seen the righteous, how their end was peace, that no violence is found in them until their death? They perish and are only as if they were not, while their souls went down with sadness to Sheol. Now therefore I swear to you, righteous, by the glory of the great and honored and mighty one who reigns, and by his greatness, I swear that I know this mystery. For I have read the heavenly tablets, and I have seen the holy books, and have seen what is written and inscribed regarding them, that all goodness, joy, and glory. Let's try it again. Chapter 103. The righteous will receive rewards for their labors. Now therefore I swear to you, righteous, by the glory of the great and honored and mighty one who reigns, and by greatness, I swear that I know this mystery, for I have read the heavenly tablets, and I have seen the holy books, and have seen what is written and inscribed regarding them, that all goodness, joy, and glory are prepared for them and written down for the spirits of those who have died in righteousness, and that much good will be given to you in reward for your labors, and that your lot is abundant be on the lot of the living. The spirits of you who have died in righteousness will live and rejoice, and their memory will remain before the face of the Great One from generation after generation. Do not fear their abuse. Woe to you, you sinners, when you have died, if you die in the abundance of your sins, and woe to those who are like you and say regarding you, blessed are the sinners, for they have seen all their days, and how they died in prosperity and wealth, and have not seen tribulation or death in their life, and they have died in honor, and judgment has not been executed on them during their life. Just know that their souls will be made to descend into Sheol, and they'll be racked in great tribulation, in darkness, in chains, and in a burning flame where there is grievous judgment, where your spirits enter, and the great judgment will be for generations of all the world. Woe to you, for you will have no peace. Do not say in regard to the righteous and good who are in life, in our troubled days we have toiled laboriously and experienced every trouble, and met with much evil, and been afflicted, and have become few, and our spirits small. We have been destroyed, and have not found any to help us, even with the word. We have been tortured, killed, and despaired for life itself from day to day. We hoped to be the head, and have become the tail. We have toiled laboriously, and had no satisfaction in our toil. We have become the food of the sinners and the unrighteous, and they have heavily laid their yoke on us. They who hate us have had dominion over us, and have smitten us. These have bowed our necks, and pitied us not. We desired to get away from them, that we might escape and be at rest, but we found no place where we could flee and be safe from them. We complained to our rulers in our affliction, and cried out against those who devoured us. But they did not attend to our cries, and would not listen to our voices. They helped those who robbed us and devoured us, and those who made us few, and they concealed their oppression, and they did not remove from us the yoke of those that devoured us, and dispersed us, and murdered us, and remembered not that they had lifted their hand against us. Chapter 104. The righteous need not fear judgment. I swear to you that in heaven the angels remember you for good before the glory of the Great One. Your names are written before the glory of the Great One. Be hopeful, for before you were put to shame through sickness and affliction, but now you will shine as the lights of heaven. You will shine, and you will be seen, and the doors of heaven will be opened to you. Cry for judgment, and it will appear to you. For all your tribulation will be visited on the rulers, and all those who plundered you. Be hopeful, and do not throw away your hopes, for you will have great joy as the angels of heaven. But what will you have to do? You will not have to hide on the day of the great judgment, and you will not be found as sinners, and the eternal judgment will not come to you for all the generations eternally. Now fear not, you righteous, when you see the sinners growing strong and prospering in their ways. Do not be their companions, but keep away from their violence. For you will become companions of the hosts of heaven. Although the sinners say all our sins will not be found out and be written down, nevertheless I say to them, they will write down all your sins every day. And now I show you that light and darkness let's see. Now I show to you that light and darkness, day and night, see all your sins. Do not be godless in your heart. Do not lie. Do not alter the words of unrighteousness. Do not alter the words of uprightness, or say that the words of the great Holy One are lies, or praise, or rely on your idols. For all your lying and all your godlessness does not come from righteousness, but from great sin. Now I know this mystery, that sinners will pervert the words of righteousness in many ways, and will speak wicked ways and lies, and practice great deceits, and write books concerning their words. And when they write down all my words truthfully in their languages, and do not change or omit any of my words, but write them down truthfully, all that I first testified concerning them, then I know another mystery, that books will be given to the righteous, and the wise to produce joy, righteousness, and much wisdom. To them the books will be given, and they will believe them and rejoice over them. Then will all the righteous who have learned from the path of uprightness be recompensed. Chapter 105. Children of righteousness, rejoice. In those days the Lord bade the wise to testify to the children of earth concerning their wisdom. Show it to them, for you are their guides, and a recompense over the whole earth. For I and my Son will be united with them forever in the paths of uprightness in their lives, and you will have peace. Rejoice, you children of righteousness. Amen. Chapter 106. Noah was born. After some days, my son Methuselah took a wife for his son Lamech, and she became pregnant by him and bore a son. His body was white as snow, and red as the blooming of a rose, and the hair of his head and the long locks were white as wool, and his eyes beautiful. Then he opened his eyes, and he lighted up the whole house like the sun, and the whole house was very bright. He arose in the hands of the midwife, opened his mouth, and conversed with the Lord of righteousness. His father Lamech was afraid of him, and fled, and came to his father Methuselah. He said unto him, I have begotten a strange son, diverse from and unlike man, and resembling the sons of the God of heaven. And his nature is different, and he is not like us, and his eyes are as the rays of the sun, and his countenance is glorious. It seems to me that he is not sprung from me, but from the angels, and I fear that in his days a wonder may be wrought on the earth. Now, my Father, I am here to petition you and implore you that you may go to Enoch, our father, and learn from him the truth, for his dwelling place is among the angels. When Methuselah heard the words of his son, he came to me to the ends of the earth, for he had heard that I was there, and he cried aloud, and I heard his voice, and I came to him. I said to him, Here I am, my son, why have you come to me? And he answered and said, Because of a great cause of anxiety have I come to you, and because of a disturbing vision have I approached. Now, my father, hear me. My son Lamech has fathered a child who doesn't resemble him, and his nature is not like a human's, and the color of his body is whiter than snow, and redder than the bloom of a rose. And the head of his hair is whiter than white wool. His eyes are like the rays of the sun, and he opened his eyes and lighted the whole house. He arose in the hands of the midwife, and opened his mouth, and blessed the Lord of heaven. His father Lamech became afraid, and fled to me, and did not believe that he came from him, that he was in the likeness of the angels of heaven. So I have come to you, that you may make known to me the truth. And I, Enoch, answered and said to him, The Lord will do a new thing on the earth. I have seen this in a vision, and I have already explained it to you. In the generation of my father Jared, some of the angels of heaven transgressed the word of the Lord. They committed crimes, laid aside their race, and were promiscuous with women. They have united themselves with women, and commit sin with them, and have married some of them, produced children with them. They will produce on the earth giants, not according to the Spirit, but according to the flesh. And there will be a great punishment on the earth, and the earth will be cleansed from all iniquity. There will come a great destruction over the whole earth, and there will be a deluge and a great destruction for 1 year. This son who has been born to you will be left on the earth, and his 3 children will be saved with him when all mankind that are on the earth will die. He and his sons will be saved. Now inform your son Lamech that the child who was born is in truth his son, and call his name Noah, for he will be left to you, and he and his sons will be saved from the destruction which will come upon the earth, on account of all the sin and the unrighteousness which will be consumed on the earth in his days. After that, there will be still more unrighteousness than that which was first consummated on the earth. For I know the mysteries of the holy ones. For he, the Lord, has shown me and informed me, and I have read it in the heavenly tablets. Chapter 107. And I saw written about them that generation after generation shall transgress, until a generation of righteousness arises, and transgression is destroyed, and sin passes away from the earth, and all manner of good comes upon it. And now, my son, go, and make known to your son Lamech, that this son which has been born is in truth his son, and that this is no lie. And when Methuselah had heard the words of his father Enoch, for he had shown to him everything in secret, he returned and showed those things to him, and called the name of that son Noah, for he will comfort the earth after all the destruction. Chapter 108. Those who loved heaven more than their life in the world. Another book which Enoch wrote for his son Methuselah, and for those who will come after him and keep the law in the last days. You who have done good will wait for those days till an end is made of those who work evil, and an end of the might of the transgressors. Wait indeed until sin has passed away, for their names will be blotted out of the book of life, and out of the holy books, and their seed will be destroyed forever, and their spirits will be slain. They will cry and make lamentation in a place that is a chaotic wilderness, and in the fire they will burn, for there is no earth there. I saw there something like an invisible cloud, for by reason of its depth I could not look over. And I saw a flame of fire blazing brightly, and things like shining mountains circling and sweeping from side to side. I asked one of the holy angels who was with me, and said to him, What is this shining thing? For it is not a heaven, but only the flame of a burning fire, and the voice of weeping, crying, lamentation, and strong pain. He said to me, Into the place which you see here are cast the spirits of sinners and blasphemers, and of those who pervert everything that the Lord has spoken through the mouth of the prophets, even the things that will be. For some of them are written and inscribed above in heaven, in order that the angels may read them and know what will befall the sinners, and the spirits of the humble, and of those who have afflicted their bodies, and have been recompensed by God, and of those who have been put to shame by wicked men who love God, and loved neither gold nor silver, nor any of the good things that are in the world, but gave them over their bodies to torture, who since they came into being longed not after earthly food, but regarded everything as a passing breath, and lived accordingly. And the Lord tried them much, and their spirits were found pure, so that they should bless his name. All the blessings destined for them have I recounted in the books, and he has assigned them for their recompense, because they have been found to be such as loved heaven more than their life in the world. Though they were trodden under foot of wicked men, and experienced abuse and reviling from them, and were put to shame, yet they blessed me. And now I will summon the spirits of the good who belong to the generation of light, and I will transform those who were born in darkness, who in the flesh were not recompensed with such honor as their faithfulness deserved. I will bring forth in shining light those who have loved my holy name, and I will seat each on the throne of his honor. And they shall be resplendent for times without number, for righteousness is the judgment of God. To the faithful he will give faithfulness in the habitation of upright paths. And they shall see those who are born in darkness, led into darkness, while the righteous shall be resplendent. And the sinners will cry aloud and see them resplendent, and they indeed will go where days and seasons are prescribed for them. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless your holy name.